Hi, I'm Milton Rendell and welcome to Real News Friday. Now, the statistics over the last couple of weeks obviously would be down slightly because of obviously the Christmas and New Year period and obviously people are focused on other things. But now we're starting to see some of the momentum come back or some more normality that we had prior to Christmas. So last week we saw 699 sales in West Australia. That was up 201% on the previous week, but you imagine that was affected by Christmas, and that was up to the 10th of January. In terms of product on the market, which is a really interesting one, is 8,263. Now, obviously during probably around the Christmas period, we didn't have a lot of stock come to the market, and you would expect that, but also the number of sales coming into Christmas were quite high, so we're certainly seeing it down. So it's 13% down in terms of listings or properties on the market at the moment compared to 4 weeks ago, and 33% down on a year ago. So that's quite a significant number. In terms of rentals, there's 2,835 properties available in the rentals at the moment, and we've had obviously a little bit of a quiet period during sort of Christmas, probably getting more notice about people moving, things like that. But the amount of stock available is down 54% on what it was a year ago. So all the figures are still good and still in the right direction. During probably the second half of this month, we will see slowly things increase and start going back to what we call normality. And I think if you go back to a few videos again, that I had spoken about some of the significant changes that we would see which would influence our market in Australia. You're certainly seeing one of those at the moment with Trump, with the US. Not that what happened last week impacts us directly, but the change of government will definitely have a positive influence through the Australian economy once it's stabilised back in the US and things like that. So, but COVID's obviously still a factor within Australia. Speaking to a few agents that I know on the East Coast, they're having a similar problem to us in terms of stock levels, particularly in New South Wales. People aren't going to the market, but it's because they have been restricted, not being able to do things. So let's see if that has an impact to the overall Australian market, because obviously as people in New South Wales and Victoria are able to move more freely within Australia, and if they are relocating back, will have some impact on our marketplace, because we are all connected, whether we want to think that or not, we are. It's just an overall thing, and I think probably come February to March, once the injections start, which they're all talking about now, that we'll see a continuance of a fairly positive market. There are still talk of increases in values, and I think that's the second part of all the next movement in our marketplace. Sellability is one, meaning properties we're selling. Now we're starting to see pressure to price because of shortening of stock. Now, just an interesting side note. Obviously, I do this video as part of our marketing and a courtesy to people we know, and social media. If you go into social media, you certainly open yourself up to whatever happens, certainly criticism, and I've certainly copped a little bit since I started doing this several years ago. But I've witnessed probably or experienced not so much bullying, but something that was a bit unusual. So I'm going to share this for possibly you can use for a lesson for your own kids. I've got 4 kids, and we've obviously discussed bullying, etc. on social media. This is something I received. Oh my God, I went to school with you and you asked me out years ago when you were hot. Oh my God, look at you. Now time to go on a diet, big boy. Glad I didn't go out with you and all these whole pile of sad phrases. Doesn't offend me, I don't give a rat's. But imagine if I had mental health problems and I received that. How would I have received it, and how would it have affected my family? I think people don't think when they do stuff. I don't know who this person is. I have no interest in whoever this person is, but I certainly can't imagine that they look like Madonna at the moment themselves. But hey, I'm not here to criticise. But you know, Jenny, just to let you know, got your message. Just thought I'd give you a quick reply. But for those of you who are out there are parents or are looking for examples or trying to understand what it feels like for your kids, this is the sort of stuff they're obviously getting bombarded with all the time. And I've got, like I say, I've got 4 kids. And you know, I've seen it through with my kids, and you will see it with yours and friends and relatives' kids. It's something. Bullying on the internet, I think, is a really dangerous thing. Some would say that's not bullying. It is in a form. Like I say, if I had mental health, how would I have reacted? You know, to think someone from the past would hunt me down and say things like they do. You know, if I had lower self-esteem, etc., how would I feel? But what I do know, So I have a wife who loves me, and I have 4 kids that love me, and I have a granddaughter that loves me. So I reckon I'm doing all right. Doesn't matter what size I am. Anyway, all the best to you all. If you want to check out more about real estate, check out realestateplus.com.au.